Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Campos, and today I'll be covering Mexico's healthcare system. The reason I actually chose this country is because I'm originally from Mexico, and throughout my research, I discovered something very interesting. Our neighbor country has actually been able to insure all of its citizens. How did they do that? Well, Mexico actually has different type of healthcare insurance for their citizens. Some of them are public, private, and they also have a tripartite system and a newly implemented Seguro Popular, which stands for Popular Insurance. So, with Mexico's public healthcare insurance, it's actually partially subsidized by the federal government, which is known as tripartite. The Instituto Mexicano del Seguro Social, which stands for Mexican Institute of Social Security, which is known by its initials IMSS, is a program that is equally funded by the employee, its private employer, and the federal government. This program actually covers 50 millions of the Mexicans that reside in the country. It also covers their dependents, the dependents of those that are employed, and is available for foreigners as well. If you're a foreigner and you work for a company in Mexico, you will be covered through this program because it's a mandate from the government that anyone who's employed must have health insurance and they will do their part. As I mentioned, it's equally funded by the employee, the employer, and the federal government. Now, government employees, local, state, and federal, are actually covered through the Instituto de Seguridad y Servicios Sociales del Trabajador del Estado, which is known by its initials ISSSTE, which stands for Institute for Social Security and Services for State Workers. And through this program, 17 million are covered. Now, citizens that serve the military are also covered through their own health insurance that is fully subsidized by the federal government. And an interesting fact that I also found out is that PMEX employees also have their own health insurance because they are considered federal employees. We're talking about anyone that works at a gas station or anything to do with petroleum because Mexico actually nationalized its petroleum. Now, through the private sector, we have citizens that can't afford it, which are the wealthy, the middle class, and foreigners. And this part of the healthcare system covers around 3 million people. Now, it's not only paid by those, but it's also paid by those individuals that work for a company that are currently being provided public health insurance, but actually pay for private health insurance to cover, to supplement their insurance and get better service. Now, as I mentioned, Mexico recently implemented a program in 2004, which is called Seguro Popular. And this program has actually given the country, the strength and the tools that it needed to cover those that are in need. This program actually covers the extremely poor families, is free of cost of those that don't have income, and it covers 52.6 million citizens. In 2012, Mexico was able to achieve universal health coverage to its citizens. It's not similar to the European models where they're fully subsidized or partially subsidized and there's um, one insurance plan. They've been able to do this through a mixture, as I mentioned, through the public, private, and now Seguro Popular. Now, Seguro Popular, you will imagine, well, is it only covering those with zero income? Actually, there's many people in Mexico that work on their own. They have little stores, they sell food, so they don't have a conventional job that would have allowed them to get insurance through the public system. So they are having to look for their own coverage and private insurance is pretty expensive. So Seguro Popular has been able to fulfill that gap in the system. Now, we're going to do a really quick comparison of the US system and Mexico's healthcare insurance. The United States covers the needy through the Medicare, Medicaid, and CHIP program, and now Mexico covers its needy through the Seguro Popular. Now, in the US, working families are now somewhat getting coverage through the Affordable Care Act. And how we've been able to do that? Well, the Affordable Care Act actually included a language where employees are mandated as well as employers are mandated to get some type of coverage. And now we also have the marketplace. In Mexico, coverage for the working families come from the tripartite system of the public healthcare programs. And is the US has the US achieved universal coverage? I guess that's work in progress. Don't want to get into politics, but there's a lot of different things that play a role on why we're not there or how are we going to get there. But in comparison, Mexico has been able to achieve that, as I mentioned earlier in 2012. In conclusion, we just want to have healthy citizens. How are we going to do that? It's a matter of finding the proper balance. But Mexico has been able to do that through its private, public, and now newly implemented Seguro Popular. I hope you guys found this information as interesting as I did. Our neighbor Mexico has been able to do that. We should take some notes and see if we're able to do something to our broken system and without getting into politics. At the end of the day, healthy citizens makes it a better country. Thank you for listening.